Welcome back to the Engineer to Impact podcast. So on the last episode, we talked about real estate investing and why it's so powerful, what the benefits are. But we also talked about some of the reasons it's hard and it's intimidating, and most people don't do it. And I ended by posing some questions for yourself to kind of evaluate whether real estate investing might make sense for you. Okay. So hopefully the fact that you're here today means you thought about it, you asked yourself those questions, and the answer is yes, that you do feel like real estate investing would be a good way for you to grow yourself, a way for you to grow your finances, and prepare for financial freedom. And if so, congratulations. That's awesome and super exciting. It's also probably super scary. Especially if you don't have any experience and you know people who've been burned in real estate. So I wanted to kind of share my story with you guys. So I first started thinking about this concept back in 2013. Okay. In December of 2013, I picked up the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I ate it up. Robert Kiyosaki is not the best writer, but he's a very persuasive writer, and he's very rich and he knows what he's talking about. And so I can overlook some poor writing. But that book fundamentally changed the way I looked at money. It changed the way I looked at investing. And for the first time, it got me thinking about doing something like real estate, something that was much bigger and broader than anything I'd done before in terms of investments. But the idea terrified me. I mentioned in the last episode that when I started talking to people about it, I couldn't find anyone that was doing it successfully. I found a lot of people who knew people who had done it and gotten burned. And so everybody had a horror story. Everybody had a reason to teach me why I shouldn't do it. And so, I didn't. I was intimidated by it. I'd read this great book and it talked about the idea of, a real asset should put money in your pocket every single month. And my stocks certainly weren't doing that. My bonds weren't doing that. Nothing else that I was trying was putting money in my pocket. And I was like, geez, I don't really have any real assets. But I was scared. I didn't know how to move forward. So I didn't. I kept doing what I was doing. I kept reading newsletters and investing in different stocks and all these different things and trying stuff. But along the way, as I did it, as I've talked about before, I had no confidence that I would ever become financially free, that I would ever accomplish my goals. Investing the way I was and using the vehicles that I was. And so that lasted, 2.5 years. I think it was mid 2016 when I finally cried uncle, and I realized that nothing else was going to do what real estate was going to do for me. Nothing else was going to provide the cash flow and the tax benefits. Nothing was going to let me take advantage of leverage the way that real estate would. And so, during that time, I'd started to build up a little bit of a network, and I had one guy that I knew invested in real estate, and it was the agent that had helped me set up my insurance policies, or my first insurance policy back in 2013. So I called him back up. I'm like, hey man, I know I need to invest in real estate. I'll just be perfectly honest. It scares me. How are you doing it? Like, you're the only guy I know that seems to be successful at real estate investing. How are you doing it? And I was just very honest with him. I'd read books about it. I'd learned all the things that go into a real estate investment. And let me just give you a quick rundown of why it was scary, right? So to create a successful real estate investment, you've got to find a property. You've got to evaluate the numbers, figure out, how much is it going to cost to rehab? How much do I think I can rent it for? Can that happen profitably? Then you've got to negotiate the purchase of that property. Then you've got to actually do the rehab. Whether you do that yourself or you hire other people and you just have to manage it, that's a big deal. It's a big project, right? And I hate all of those things. I hate looking for real estate. I hate working on my own house. Certainly didn't want to work on fixing up a house for somebody else. Once it's fixed up, you've got to go through all the inspections. You've got to coordinate that. You've got to meet the inspectors. You've got to let them do their thing and then fix anything that they find that's wrong. Once you finally get through all that and your property is rent ready, now you got to market it. You got to screen tenants and make sure that you're not renting to somebody that's going to make your brand new rehabbed house into a crack house, or that you're not bringing a sex offender in that's going to, scare people in the neighborhood, stuff like that. So you got to find a good tenant. Once you put them in, you've got to manage the tenant, right? You've got to take care of any maintenance that happens. You've got to collect rent every month. You've got to make sure that you're taking care of things that are going wrong. When the tenant leaves, you've got to turn the property around quickly, because every day that there's not a tenant in there, you're losing money, right? And so I looked at that list and I was like, gosh, all of these things sound horrible to me. Other than the part where I get to get a check every month, all of these things sound hard. All of these things sound horrible. I don't know how to do any of them. That's going to take me forever. And so as I'm running through this stuff with my friend here, I was like, all of these things scare me. All of these things sound awful. How are you doing it? Are you really going and doing all these things? And he smiled at me and he said, yep, been there, done that, felt that, got scared by all those. And he had actually gone and done these things, got burned in a lot of them. And then he found a much better way. And so what I wanted to focus on today is what that much better way is, right? Because when I run down that list, maybe you've thought about all those things before. Maybe there's some things in there you hadn't thought about, but it's a big process. There's a lot that has to go into creating a successful real estate investment. Okay. And the reality is you can do all of those things yourself. You can learn to do all those things. And maybe you're not like me. Maybe those things appeal to you. Maybe there's a few of those things that appeal to you and others that don't. Like, for example, I'm an engineer, right? I love spreadsheets. I love running numbers. That part didn't sound horrible to me, but getting out, finding the property, rehabbing it, managing it, all of that stuff sounded terrible to me. And so what my friend taught me was a strategy called turnkey real estate. Okay. And essentially what turnkey is it means you're partnering with somebody that's going to go do almost all of that for you. Okay. They're going to take care of finding a property. They're going to manage the rehab. They're going to buy it, do all the negotiation, do the rehab. They're going to market it for you. They're going to find a tenant. They're going to manage the tenant, and they're going to take care of maintenance for you. Primarily, most of the time, the only interaction you're going to have with them is they're going to send you a statement every month with a check. That's awesome, right? So he's explaining this to me. My eyes are just lighting up because I'm like, this is awesome. This sounds great. This sounds exactly like what I want. And so I started looking into it. I started researching companies that provided turnkey services. And what I found is that it was the absolute perfect way for somebody like me to get into real estate, because the reality is I didn't have the time to do all those things. I didn't have the expertise to do all those things. The cities where I was finding where the numbers made sense were away from my hometown. And so I didn't know people that could do the rehab. I didn't know inspectors. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. Right? I didn't know the markets to find the right properties. So what turnkey property allows you to do is effectively hire someone to go do all of these things for you. Someone who is an expert in their market, someone that specializes in, I mean, they have whole teams that do this, right? They have people that specialize in going and finding the right properties in the right neighborhoods. They have teams that specialize in doing rehabs. They do this at scale. And so they're able to get much better deals on materials and maintenance services. They have a whole team that specializes in finding the right tenants and managing those tenants and making sure that your tenants are happy and that they want to stay, making sure that you as a landlord are happy. And so for me, this was the perfect solution, and it just drops the barrier to entry for getting into real estate investing so much that to me, it's the perfect way to start. Okay. So how does it work, right? And is it really that easy, right? And you maybe think, Dan, you told me in the last episode this was going to be so hard, and I was going to have to go get educated, and I was going to have to develop new skill sets and build a whole team. And do I not have to do that? Does this take care of all of that? Well, the reality is no, it doesn't. Okay, because your responsibility in this equation is to drive the system, right? Think about it like a car, right? I don't have to know how to go build an engine and build a fuel system and build a transmission, all of these things, right? I can go buy a car, but unless I'm trained to be a driver, that car's never going to get me where I want to go, right? That's exactly what's happening here with turnkey real estate. Okay. I am more like a CEO. Okay. I have to, so my role in this is, I need to figure out what markets I want to invest in. I need to build a relationship with turnkey providers. I need to know what I'm looking for. What things should be red flags so that I can identify a turnkey provider I don't want to partner with. And by the same token, the things that make a good turnkey provider so I can identify someone I want to partner with. I need to be able to evaluate the things that they're telling me, the properties that they're bringing me. And so I do still need skills in understanding what financial metrics make for a good investment. I need to do enough due diligence to understand where within the markets they're investing in do I personally want to invest, because all of the properties that they bring me may not meet my numbers. They may not be in areas I want to invest in. And so as the CEO of my portfolio, I need to still get the education, understand, who do I want to partner with? Where do I want to invest? Which properties do I want to invest in? Things like that. Okay. So I still have a huge responsibility, because the reality is if I'm not driving, the turnkey provider it's not a magic bullet, right? It's not going to allow me to build a successful portfolio. What they are going to allow me to do is leverage their skills and their expertise in all of those things I mentioned, while I build specific expertise in the things that I want to do, right? Things like raising capital, whether that's through my own savings, or whether it's finding other investors that have capital that don't want to do the work to invest in real estate themselves. I haven't done that yet. All of the capital I put to work has been my own, but that idea is intriguing to me, right? That's something that's a skill I would like to build. I have spent a lot of time researching markets, researching turnkey providers, learning how to find a property that will provide me the returns that I want. Okay. I've spent hundreds of hours investing in myself, investing in my own education, investing in my skill set so that I can do that, right? So I can successfully partner with a turnkey provider and leverage their skills to go do the things that I either can't do as well as they can, or that I don't want to do because I'm not good at them. right. So what is the benefit? Is there a cost? Absolutely. Right. I am happy to pay them every single month a portion of my rents to go take care of all those things for me. Right. So what's the benefit to them? One is they earn a management fee. Generally, that's about 10%. They also earn money on the front end because they are buying the property at a steep discount. They're rehabbing it, and then they're selling it to me at market value. Okay. I'm happy to pay them for that. I'm happy for them to earn a profit on that, because I didn't have to go do any of those things. All I had to do was write a check and sign some papers, and I have a profitable property to add to my portfolio. Okay. So this is a good relationship, right? I'm paying them, they're making money, and I'm making money because we're partnering together and each bringing our unique skill sets and expertise to the table. Okay. So what does that allow me to do? Well, the biggest thing is it gives me space, right? I know that somebody else that I can trust is finding good properties, managing those properties well so that my investment is profitable for me over the long term. I know that they're taking good care of my tenants. And I know they're taking good care of my property. What that allows me then to do is have the space, because I'm not out fixing toilets. I'm not out finding tenants and screening tenants and trying to collect rent from people that have every excuse in the book to not pay rents, right? They're taking care of that for me. With the time that I'm saving, what I'm doing is I'm investing in my mindset. I'm investing in my education. I'm investing in developing new skill sets, because as my portfolio grows, I have to grow with it, right? The skill sets that I need buying my 5th property are different than buying my 1st property. The skill sets buying my 11th property are going to be different than buying my 5th property, right? And so with the time and space I'm saving, my job as the CEO is to then go out, get the education, read the books, build new connections with other investors that are further ahead that can teach me what are those gaps, right? Because I don't know what skill sets I need right now to buy my 11th property or 20th property. I need to find people who are at that stage so that I can start now where I'm buying, my 5th and my 6th and 7th, to start figuring out what education do I need? What do I need to develop those skills? What are those skills? What gaps am I going to run into when I get there? Okay. I can be pursuing that education. I can be building those relationships. I can be going to the conferences. I can be traveling to the areas I want to invest in and doing due diligence to figure out what neighborhoods do I want to be in? Where are the big employers? Where are the high crime areas? Where are the decent schools? Things like that, right? All of those are things that I want to be doing as the CEO so that I can make sure that the properties my turnkey provider brings me are going to give me what I want, right? And they're going to provide the kind of experience for my residents that I want to provide them. Okay. So that's what turnkey real estate is. Like I said, for me, it was the absolute best way to get started because it got rid of all those things that were scary, all those things that were intimidating, all those excuses I had because I didn't have the skills, I didn't have the expertise. I didn't necessarily want to develop the skills and expertise in those things, right? It allowed me to focus on the things that I want, selecting neighborhoods, selecting partners, building a network, focusing on growing my financial IQ, my skill sets. Partnering with a turnkey provider gave me the time and space to do all that. And the money that I pay them is some of the best money I've ever spent because both of us are profiting and it's allowing me to scale much, much more quickly than I could if I was having to do all these things on my own, right? If I was having to buy, find, rehab, close properties, find tenants, fix things myself, I could never grow as fast as I am. So in a nutshell, that's what turnkey is. Like anything else, you got to be careful, right? There are people out there that run scams because in a lot of cases, turnkey providers are in different areas than you are, right? That's another benefit. I'm able to invest in the most profitable markets by finding partners out there, even though I'm not physically located in those areas, right? But because of that, by the same token, you have to be careful, right? You've got to know who you're investing with. You've got to make sure that they have a good reputation and that they're not going to screw you over, right? That's all part of the due diligence. But when you do that work, when you take charge as the driver of the system, as the CEO of the system, this is a very, very simple and easy way to get into real estate investing and start being successful right away, right? And because I did that, I mean, like anything, buying the first one was the scariest, right? But once I bought the first one, buying the second one was a lot less scarier because it worked, right? The check showed up when it was supposed to every single month. And then I bought a second one and I had 2 checks showing up every month. And so it's allowed me to scale in a way I never could have done if I was doing this on my own. So, if you watched the last episode and the answer that you came out with was yes, financially, real estate investing makes sense. My desire to put my money to work, helping, doing good things, providing value to other people is something that appeals to me. Doing the work to get educated, to build a team, to build the skill sets, to build the knowledge that I need to run a real estate system is something that appeals to me. If you answered yes to those questions, then I hope that your eyes are lighting up like this or like mine did when I first learned about this. Okay. Because this is the easiest way to get started, right? Is it the most profitable way to invest in real estate? No, it's not. The most profitable thing is to go find your own properties, buy them at a steep discount. But what I'm finding is because I jumped in this way and because it was profitable enough, I'm growing my wealth. I'm developing my skill sets. I'm growing myself as a person. And I'm getting to the point where now I understand how it works. Now I can see how some of these pieces come together. And I'm starting to look at some of those other pieces. I'm starting to look at things like, how do I go raise extra money so I can go faster than I can go just saving money out of my own paycheck, right? I'm starting to look at what are the benefits if I were to go do this myself. And buy some properties myself while I continue to buy from turnkey providers. I'm starting to look at those things, but those things are far less intimidating to me now because of the experience I've had with turnkey providers, because I've seen how it can work successfully, how it should work. All of those things make more sense. So if this is appealing to you, I'd highly, highly encourage you to consider starting out this way. Okay. It doesn't have to be the way you buy every house. It doesn't have to be the way you build your entire portfolio, but I promise you, it's probably the easiest way to get over the fears that you have of jumping in, buying that first property, and starting to see those rent checks coming in. Okay. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. One of the things that, I keep pounding on is education. And so along with this episode, you check out in the show notes, I'm going to drop a link to the absolute best financial education you can get. It's the Cash Flow Tactics Academy. It's one of the things. I actually had a couple of properties before I started, but going through this program is where things really started to click. They really started to gel mentally for me. And I really started to understand what was the system I was supposed to be building as the CEO of my portfolio. Okay. And it deep dive into all of the things I've talked about, the life insurance and how coupling that with real estate really supercharges your returns. It helped me understand even better than I did from the first couple of properties I bought. What properties should I be buying? How should I be evaluating? How do I make sure that they're the right properties that are going to give me the kinds of returns that I wanted? And it explained these things in a way that all of the books and all of the blogs and all of the things that I'd learned in all these disparate places over the course of several years, in a matter of weeks going through this program, it made all of these things gel for me. And so if investing in real estate is something you seriously want to consider, I would absolutely recommend you check out this program and go through it, because you will come out on the other side of it far more educated and far more ready to go out and start asking the right questions and doing the right things to be successful in your first real estate deal. Okay. So I'm going to drop a link to that program in the show notes and highly encourage you to check that out. All right. Have a good day, and I will catch you in the next episode.